Supreme Court has stayed that order. And now joining me on the telecast is Advocate Tanuj Dixit, Supreme Court lawyer. Advocate Tanuj Dixit, thank you so much for joining us on the telecast. You've seen and read out this. What exactly, in terms of your assessment, what do you think? Has this several issues that the opposition raised and the Muslim leaders and the organizations they raised, do you think this order has cleared certain doubts?
Yes, absolutely. If we'll see the checkpoint about the key highlights of this order, which today Supreme Court have passed, is that the partial stay has been implemented on this WAF Act. This why we are calling it the partial stay. The Supreme Court refused to halt the entire WAF Amendment Act 2025, but they but issued a partial stay on several key points, especially in some provisions. If we'll talk about the presumption of the constitutionality, is the court acknowledged the parliament state generally have the presumption of the constitutionality and the principle applied on the WAF board, especially this the WAF board CEO and its composition. The court have directed as far as possible the CEO of a WAF board should be a Muslim. It also stated the number of a non-Muslim member on WAF board should be minimal, and but allowed for the non-Muslims to be appointed, but that there could be only 3 members maximum can be a member of the WAF board. And also the petition argued the act amounted to the crippling accusation of the WAF properties, which court considered its ruling on the implementation of this act, especially the 5 years practice rule, the provision requiring a person to have practiced Islam for at least 5 years to create a was a state, and pending the formulation of necessary rule by the state government. And collectorate power has also been restricted, DM power. So the authority of the collector DM to decide the WAF property disputes was taken away, and instead these matters were directed to the handed by the WAF tribunal. So these are the major changes which have been passed through an order today by the Honorable Supreme Court of India, which will really impact to this all amendment of this 2025. Yes.
And also in terms of the fact that the Muslim community and the leaders have been saying that this is a attack on the community and their religion. Do you think that's the case that has been made and addressed as well?
I think Supreme Court have not taken into this matter into this kind of things, as the Kapil Sibal was from the petitioner side and the advocate Tushar Mehta have from the government side, which they both have already discussed a lot about this on in the month of May, where there had been 3 days hearings were considered by the Honorable Supreme Court, but the order has been passed today. The Supreme Court of India has partially stayed on this WAF Amendment Act 2025, especially the provision that requires a person to prove they practice Islam for 5 years to create a WAF. The court also restrained the collector power and decided the WAF property dispute, stating such matters must go to a tribunal. And Supreme Court noted that the WAF Act enjoys a presumption of the constitutionality, but requires framing of rules for eligibility and direction to ensure a Muslim CEO and minimum non-Muslim on boards. Yes.
And also talking about this particular clause, that 5-year Islam practice clause put on hold, what do you think would the framework, I mean, how long does it take for a framework to be decided in terms of how long someone is practicing Islam in terms of this?
They have directed to the state governments to make this guidelines for this to perfect statement or perfect definition of an Islam, a person who is practicing Islam. So this guideline, once the guideline will be formed, then only it will be decided. So for up to that time, it has been restricted and it has been stayed by the Supreme Court. Yes.
And another thing to notice is the encroachment dispute freeze. The court froze the clause empowering the government to de-recognize Waqf land while a dispute over encroachment is pending before a government officer, calling such powers contrary to the separation of powers. If you could break it down to our viewers, what exactly does that mean?
That comes under the section 3 subclause R, where this has been mentioned, and this power has been again been stayed by the Honorable Supreme Court. Now that decisions can be due by the Honorable Tribunal of the Work Board.
And another point that I would like to talk about is that you have also addressed earlier the collector had the right to take the alleged Waqf property into its possession. Now the Apex Court has put a stay on it. So what exactly does that mean for in terms of Waqf Amendment Act and for the viewers who are watching?
Still there will be an opportunity later on to go to this the tribunal matters to the Honorable Supreme Court, and the gates will be always open for that. So if this elect to be get this property be consumed by the collect district magistrate, earlier it was mentioned in the Waqf Amendment Act 2025, but it has been stayed now by the Honorable Supreme Court, and in future whenever it will be any cases which are will not be satisfied from the Waqf tribunal, then it will be go to the Supreme Court for the further hearings.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Advocate Tanuj Dikshit, on our telecast. Meanwhile, NewsX has now accessed the